Hey y'all. So it's your girl Jamaica coming to you live and in color as always. So listen, y'all, let me tell y'all, today has been such an interesting day, but I was driving home earlier and y'all know I let my thoughts get away with me and I'm okay with it. And so as I was going through my mind and allowing my thoughts to run, I was like, we talk too much. I talk too much. I know I talk too much. And I'm okay with it some days, and some days I'm just sitting up here like, what? So let me give y'all a little story. So story time. So I was having a conversation with a friend. A friend called me. She was like, "Hey, I'm gonna be home, on this particular day, X, Y, Z." Um, and I was like, "Okay, cool," because we don't stay too far from each other. She was like, "I'm gonna be home on this day, such and such, bring me in." I was like, "Okay, cool. Well, when you get home, let me know. We'll meet up. We'll link up." So then I told her, I was like, um, I drove past your house and I seen a little something happening over here, X, Y, and Z. I was like, but I think it's cool. And then, we had a conversation about it. And then she texted me a little later and she was kind of like, "Hey, can you I'm ready to go home now. Can you come pick me up tomorrow?" And I looked at the phone and I went to texting like, "No, I can't really I can't really do that because tomorrow I got this and third to do and blah 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 blah. Like I got a busy schedule. I'm jam packed." And as I looked at what I was texting, I was like, "You don't owe her all these excuses. Like this seemed like a lot. Just it's a no. Like no is no." And not only is it that, not to say that I don't owe her anything, but me as an individual, when I ask questions, sometimes I have people who give me like this long drawn out thing, and it's like all I need is a yes or no answer. Like you giving me your whole life story, I don't really care. No disrespect to you. Just tell me yes or no. Can you do it or can you not? So I responded back to her and was like, no, ma'am, and just left it as that. And of course, based off of the old people pleasing version of myself, it's like, oh, I hope she understand, XYZ. Like you're hoping that you didn't hurt that person's feelings, but at the end of the day, my time just does not allow for me to go outside of what I've already built in. Like I have a schedule. This is the reason why I create schedules. This is the reason why, you know, I've built my calendar the way that I did, and I have openings in my calendars. And when people say, "Hey, do you want to do something?" I give them my free dates. This is the times that I'm available. This is the dates that I'm available, and let's work something out. Anything outside of that is me pushing myself to a place. And of course, like I said, I used to be a people pleaser, so I'm working on these skills. So this would be me trying to people please, trying to make this person feel comfortable because I used to want that. I wanted people to make me feel comfortable. I wanted people to, explain why. And so I started to think about that a little bit. And then another thing happened today. So today, a friend of mine, she called me. She was like, "Hey, I called you earlier today. I wanted to go over these things with you." And I was like, "Yo, that is not my lane." I know nothing about that. But it's not just that I don't know anything about it. I know somebody you can talk to because that's what I want to be. I want to be able to be a resource to people. I want to be able to help people who want to help themselves. So I was like, "Hey, I get it," because she was, kind of like, "Hey," she was telling me all these things she couldn't do. I was like, "Hey, boom, stop complaining," because I'm not a complaining person. I like people to come to me with strategies. I want you to come to me with answers. This is your issue. Let's strategize and find some answers. So I say, "Hey, don't worry about what you can't do. Let's figure out what we can do. Let's figure out how to make our rounds about this." So, needless to say, that was not my lane, but I told her I got somebody she could talk to. Um, I sent her the information. I allowed them to link up. They talked. They came up with some ways that she could go about becoming more successful in the area that she was having an issue with. Um, Within that, the person who she was talking to was like, "Hey, not only that, this is what you say. Call these people. I need you to say it just like this." And they gave her the verbiage. And don't worry about all the other things that you have to deal with. Just start at step one. Step one is call the people, say this verbiage to them, and then see what they say from there. And then we'll go to step B. Like I understand you need help with D, but right now let's do A. So she hung up. She was like, okay, she hung up. But then she called back. She was like, well, do I say this? Well, do I say that? And of course, this person came back and was like, you don't say nothing. The only thing you say is exactly what I told you to say. If they ask, then you provide them with more information. But if they don't ask those questions, you don't say anything. All you do is say exactly what I told you. And so, needless to say, she was successful in it. She was thrilled. She called me. She called the other person. She was like very grateful. Thank you so much for the help. And that's what we're here for. But within all of those things, those two things happening back to back, I came to this realization that we talk too much. We give out entirely too much information to people who don't need it, who it's no good for them at that particular time. And not only that, I remember I used to work in insurance a few years ago. And what they told us is that the goal is to have a conversation with the people that you're on the phone with. So when you're in a call center, or you guys call somebody in a call center environment, they are literally trying to have a conversation with you to pull more information from you. And so I'm in a place where I'm learning to just answer the question. And I think we have an issue with communication. We need to listen to the question, answer the question, and stop talking. Because what I found is, like, for instance, with me being in the insurance industry a few years back, you'll call and say, hey, I need to check and see how much it will be to add on, a young driver. So now, as the person working in insurance, you have someone who's underage in your house who's going to be getting a car. Then they ask questions. Oh, so no problem. Let's figure that out for you. They go to clicking and typing to see whatever else. In the system, we're notating you now have a young driver that will be added to your policy at some point. Then it's like, you're, instead of probing and say, well, how old is this child? When is this? When is that? Instead of asking direct questions, they're like, well, if they're getting well, I don't even know. However you want to do it. It's gonna start off with, oh, so hopefully this child, if they give you a name, it's great because now you know this child's name. Child's name is Bryant. Bryant, we're assuming that's a boy, so put a boy. They're listening to the conversation you're having with them. Okay, so if you were to add Bryant onto your policy would probably go up around this time. This gives you enough time, to practice driving if you wanted to practice. Oh, I'm not adding him right now. We're looking at getting him his restricts. So Brian will be getting a license within a year. So we're assuming now Brian is 15. You don't have to tell him to say, oh, okay, well, that's great. Yeah, his birthday is coming up. Brian's birthday is in, right now it's August. His Brian's birthday is in August or September. The more you have a conversation, the more information they're pulling from you. And they don't have to have everything exactly correct to add it to your policy. But next year, this time, your policy is going to be increased based off of the information that you provided to them because you were talking too much. You get what I'm saying? So we provide people with entirely too much information just because we're trying to have these lighthearted conversations. And sometimes we just need to answer the question that's being asked. And another thing that I thought about while I was driving is not only that we give out too much information. The reason why we do it is 9 times out of 10 is because we were looking for someone to provide us information when we were younger. So for me, I remember my mother used to always be like, because I said so. Well, I go in there and wash them dishes. And I'd be like, I just washed dishes. Why can't nobody else do it? Because I said so. And we used to be, I don't know if this was you, but in the Black household that I lived in, whatever it was, all my mama had to say was, because I said so. Put it in quotation marks. I could throw it on a shirt because I said so. That was her response to everything. But as a child, I wanted explanation. And I saw other people's parents who sat them down, had a conversation with them, gave them explanations about how and why and when to do certain things. But our household, it was just because I said so. So as I got older, I wanted that response. I wanted people to explain to me how and why and when, and I wanted to ask more questions. And so then that becomes, as an adult, you explaining yourself to other people because you now want other people to understand where you're coming from because that's what you desire. So we start to put out into the world what we want. and not understanding that sometimes, and this is why we have this issue with boundaries and different things of that nature too with people, is that sometimes you're oversharing because of the lack of boundaries that you were able to create as a child, the lack of boundaries you're able to have now as an adult, and the lack of boundaries that you perceive yourself entitled to. And one of the things that I was teaching in my class was that your boundaries are for you and to keep you bound to whatever values, whatever ethics, whatever it is that you deem to be a part of or a staple of yourself. And those boundaries become principles, right? And the principles are always reiterated in your life, and this is what becomes an unconscious act for you. So until you make that a conscious awareness, you're not going to change how you respond to other people. You're not going to stop telling people too much of your business, and you're not going to be in a place where you're understanding that people are going to value you the way that you want to be valued because you're devaluing yourself. I hope that makes sense because I know I said a lot. But ultimately, at the end of the day, with this whole thing, because I'm not gonna stay on here long, I really wanted to just come on here and have a conversation and help people understand, like, sometimes we are really talking too much. One, we need to listen to what's being asked of us or what people are requesting and only respond to that. Two, we need to be okay with saying yes and no and not explaining anything any further. And then three, we need to understand that if we have a desire to know more, then we need to ask for clarity and communicate that you desire to know more and be okay with it. And also be okay with the rejection of people not providing you with what it is that you want, because again, it's not that they have to do anything. That is just something that you desire. So that's something I just wanted to bring to the table. So y'all, I'm not gonna stay on here long because I don't want to ramble off and go on too many other little tangents. But please take some time out and understand and try to figure out if you talking too much, if you telling just what you need to tell before you get caught up in something. All right, y'all. Well, I'm about to get going. I love y'all. See y'all later. Bye.